In this Photoshop lesson, we will learn how to add frame space around an image. You take a look at this image here of Michaela, you will see some white space around the picture. We're calling that frame space. Here's some other examples. There we go. And so you're going to learn how to add some space. We're going to learn how to change the color of that space, and then we're going to learn to make that space larger so that it could accommodate some text that we will do in future lessons. So in this lesson, what we will do is open an image. We will float an image. We will crop an image. We will change the background color and then crop to add frame space. So let's get started. Step number 1 is to bring up Photoshop. And if you need to, go ahead and pause this video and open Photoshop and then come on back. Step 2, let's bring up an image, and let's just go ahead and open one at a time. So go to your thought space and find the images and make a selection. I will go ahead and bring up Saul here. And you'll want to remember that we learned in class that most of the time you will want to be on the Move tool, which is the letter V. Sometimes people refer to it as the Selection tool. So we have opened Photoshop. We have a picture open. And as we have learned, every time we bring up a new picture, we want to duplicate that picture. Image, duplicate. Change the name if you like. Click OK. And then put away the original. And that way we can always go back to it. So let's see where we are. So we've opened an image. And next we need to float. So let's go and take care of that. Right now this image is attached to this taskbar. If I click on the banner of this image, I can take and hold and drag it out into my workspace. So now it looks like that. And then if you want, you can attach it back. Attached, floating. And it's called floating because we can move it wherever we want. So that's how we float the image. Next step, let's go ahead and crop the image. And we learned in class that the shortcut for this crop tool is the letter C. And you'll notice that when you point to any of these tools and wait for a second or two, it'll come up and tell you the name of the tool and oftentimes a shortcut, and there's that letter C. And so now we have our crop tool. And we're going to go ahead and use that rule of thirds that we learned last week. And I got pretty lucky right there. I like that. So once you get the crop that you want, and there he is right there, right in that upper left third, click the check mark. And there we go. And so I've still got him floating out here. Back to my Move tool. Next up, let's see. So we've opened an image, float the image, crop the image. Now we're going to change the background color to the frame color that we would like to use. Here's our foreground color. And here's our background color. So I'm going to click on the background color. I'm going to go out into my image and pick some color that exists within this picture. And so I'm going to pick something from this brown background here. And then you'll notice it gives me a sample of that color. And then I can click OK. I'll do that again. Click the background color. I'm going to use the eyedropper tool by pointing to something within the picture that I want to use as a frame color. You can take a few different samples to get an idea. Now you can also, if you get something close and it's not exactly what you want, you can always go in here and go within that family of color. You can grab something just a little bit different and it'll still be pretty darn close to what it is that you're interested in. And then I will click OK, and then you will notice that the background color has changed. If you need to practice that, pause this video and make sure that you can accurately set that color to the desired color for a frame. Next up, back to the crop tool. Now notice as soon as I click that crop tool, it puts these handles here, here in the corner, here, 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 and here. And so what we can do once that happens is that it's got our crop selection all the way around our image that has already been cropped, so we really don't need to crop it again. But what we are going to do is grab one of these handles here and crop to add some space. So watch how I do this. Grab the handle and drag it down. And I'm going to go ahead and make these a little bit large just so you can see it. And there it is. So there we have put some frame space at the bottom. And that would be very useful for putting a caption, which we will do. And then you can also do the same thing over here to your desired size. Maybe you don't want it quite as big. Maybe you want to make it exactly the same size. Now if you get in a situation like this, where I can't find that handle, then come up here and just make that canvas a little bit taller until it gives you some space right there. And we are just estimating these. So if you like the way that you cropped it, you could click that check mark and accept that. I went ahead and undid that frame space and I'm going to redo it. I'm going to go back to my move tool, click the color, change the color, try something a little different here. Let's see what this is here. And click OK. Click my crop tool. And then once again, see about adding a little space around the frame. And you'll also want to note that you can go ahead at any time and increase that canvas space there, so you just have a little more space to work with. So up to this point, I've had you float that image. And the reason I'm having you float it is because later on we're going to need that for a lot of the different techniques that we learn using Photoshop. But it's possible to use this adding frame space without floating the image right now. So here's what we were doing, is floating that image. But you can also do it with that image attached to the taskbar. And so you'll want to practice both ways. And so once again, here's our image. Now it's locked onto the bar. It's not floating. I can go ahead and make sure I'm on my move tool, change the background color. I'll take some of this blue here. And then I don't have to worry about having to increase any canvas space. I can just simply go to my crop tool and add some space. So try it both ways. You'll probably find it's a little bit easier to do it this way if you're working with one image at a time. Accept the change and move on and do some more of those. So experiment, have some fun. Those of you that want to get a little more adventurous, you could go ahead and go back to your move tool. Change the color again, maybe some other shade here. Let me grab another shade of blue. Click OK. Back to the crop tool, and you can add a frame around the frame, like so. And that little technique can go on and on. So do several of those. I'll come around the room, take a look at your work, answer any questions you have, and have fun. Thanks for watching. change the color and put back to the crop tool, and then just put a different color on that side of the frame. So it's not looking so nice, but it is a demonstration of what you could do by adding space around an image. So practice that several times and get some experience with that. And then in the next lesson, what we will do is add a fair amount of space either at the bottom or around the sides, and we will start adding a text layer to the image.